Okay, we ready?
We're ready.
Okay. Well, let's call this thing to order. What do we gotta do? Begin? Okay,
Call.
the roll call. Okay, Carla,
I'm here in person.
J.R. Russell, chair, he's here. Harry, iPhone, she's there. Lowell.
What?
I'm just gonna go down there.
No, I'm sorry. Cynthia actually brought it to my attention
Ah,
that
good.
Lowell hasn't been on the committee for a while. We have to go investigate it. So Joanna is actually, last April was appointed to position 4. And then at the April 18th meeting, we have a candidate or an applicant to be approved by council for the vacant position 6. So we'll have a full, so we're just looking for an alternate. Will be
Okay.
the only vacancy we have. So I'm sorry, I didn't correct that.
Is it
Cynthia
the gentleman
Mason.
that came from the public? That wants to interview for it?
I don't think so.
Let's get through the rest of the roll. Cynthia Mason, vice chair.
Here.
Here, vacant, still vacant. Therese Kinsberry,
Here.
Joanna Hanson. She said she was gonna try to zoom in
About
at
4.
4:30 when she gets off of work. Okay, then Councilman Eric Marshall. Brian. Who else? Do we have to say anybody else? Is that good?
Nope, that was good.
Okay. And somebody, does that mean somebody? Okay. First thing for approval of the agenda. Everybody got the agenda in front? Because what I'd like to do is take items A and B. And let's just push them all the way down to the end. Because if we get through some other stuff rather quickly, then that would allow us more time to spend on words and whatever, and then we can knock it off. And add one more thing to the agenda. I got an email for reaching out to the art commission to talk about going to Regency to talk about sculpture. Wait, put that on the agenda, or we can just, I just got it yesterday.
Your business?
Yeah, I guess let's just do a motion to amend the agenda to add it. Make it Official.
And I move that we add this to the agenda and put it right after Youth Neuro Camp Summer Proposal.
I'll make a motion to add item email from Regency.
Yes.
Do we have the proposal sent in by Lynn Armstrong for the children's mural?
Yes, I got it right there.
All right.
The revised one. We'll send it.
Okay, all in favor?
Oh, we need a second. Can we have a second?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Agenda's approved. Last month's minutes.
Table them.
Yeah, they weren't ready, so I'll put them on the next one.
Okay.
Next meeting agenda.
All right, then we'll go to public comment. Anybody from the public? Okay, hearing nothing, let's move on right to the agenda, and with the first item on the agenda will now be the update on the Angel of Creativity.
And I will throw up. So we had members of the council, members of the Parks Board, and members of the Arts Commission, if you from the public, come out on site to Flintstone Park. We looked at a number of different locations, talked about different restrictions with proximity to the shoreline, use of the park by the crane for the hydroplanes, existing infrastructure that we had there, as well as connection to electrical for lights for the statue. We looked at a couple different locations, talked a little bit about the flagpole, the shelter, and location where those paths meet. So where that red box was the general consensus for location of the statue facing towards the harbor. We could pull electrical from where the flagpole is right now. We would remove that blued section of the roundabout and just turf that back in, just creating a nicer, larger lawn space and a little better balance in the park. We'll make some improvements to the parking lot so you can come in and out of that driveway along there and be able to park. Parks Board reviewed this and passed a motion of recommendation to council for that location. Council's already approved the site. We're just going to bring it back to council and let them know that this is a location that was picked by the committee. Let them ratify that, open up for any last public comment on it before we do the installation. We still have to, we're waiting for the mayor to get the agreement back from Sculptures Northwest. Once we have that, we can do the install, and once the statue is installed, we will then do the agreement of gifting, if that's what it's called. Acceptance of gift and pay that.
35,000.
Yeah, 35,000. Yep, so I'll just kick it to you guys for discussion, and if you want to look for a motion for recommendation to council.
One question on this, I'm like, because I get lost on. Now that we picked out the site, I'm gonna back up a little bit. The original approval was voted on by council, whatever years ago, to put it down there. And that was paid for, we did everything, so there was payment made to do that.
Geotech and engineering
We paid them to go do that.
for that site,
For that site. So we wrote that check. And he said,
the estate for
the
the check.
new group comes in, council, and they turn around and say, we don't like that. We want everything you did. We want the statue someplace else. So they found someplace else. So they're now, we're paying again. If I'm wrong, if I'm right, we're paying again to have something done for
That
that particular
It'll
location.
be geotech and tweaking engineering, right?
So is there a cost on that?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why council sent the agreement with revisions back to.
So
It's been signed.
It's been signed, so we're paying for that again, so somebody's gotta pay for that. I mean, does that money come from, who's paying for that additional site? Because it was already paid for once, the art commission.
I believe, Seashore's look at the contract, but we,
They didn't pay for anything.
We didn't pay for any, so we're not paying any additional payments because we moved over here, there's no more additional payment.
No, the estate is picking up all the bills that aren't being redone, and I believe the city's
So
picking up the.
that's all I was getting to, is like,
Shoreline
if we've already spent money to put it in over there, and because no, we're not doing it there anymore, we're doing it over here, but we spent money over there, now we have to spend money over here, we spend it twice.
that's what was tweeted.
And
If I would, I'll make a motion to present this new location to council for Parks Board's recommendation.
all in favor?
Thank you.
Unanimous. I'm guessing that Mary's over there.
Yes, her
Okay.
hand is,
Okay,
oh, that was my hand. Mary, did you vote for that motion? Okay, thank you. That was my hand.
so let's move on to the Arbor Day event. Right?
Okay, so this is a celebration of Arbor Day. It'll be held on April 28th from 1:30 to 3. The event will be held at Broadview Elementary School off Fairhaven Drive and what we call Wells Site 10. It's a small forested park adjacent to the school. It's held at Olympic View last year. We'll have kind of a similar format. So there's 380 students at Broadview Elementary. They'll be broken up into grades and actually.
I have that problem too.
Just keeps altering the table. No, two pieces of paper. Sorry.
Okay, great. So this is site map for the event at Broadview Elementary. We'll bring all the kids out. There will be, I think, actually, I don't know yet if it's going to be Janet, the chair of the Parks Board, or our Mayor Pro Tem Tara Heisen, who will be doing the welcome and just kind of instructions on how the day will go. But that everyone will break out by grades, and we have 5 different stations. There's a reading, a large book about oak trees and acorns, and we also have native artifacts. They'll be talked about by our city archaeologist, Gideon, and we'll have tree plantings. There's 2 trees for each grade in the park. We'll site 10. Our city arborist, Bob Bailey, will be up in the trees with his rig, showing the kids how we do maintenance of trees and talking about care of trees and planting. The kids will have seeds that they can take home to plant as well. Along actually with the story time, we also have art activities. So this is some fun kids, especially younger ones. And has recommended books. We'll have tree themed games on the field as well. And then at 3 o'clock, everyone regroups. We'll have a silhouette of a large oak tree, and Sabrina, our communications director, will drone for doing a picture overhead shot. Oak tree shape, and we'll have a frame picture of that at the school, and then also one here at City Hall. We're also doing a naming contest for Well Site 10, which is just what we call it's an undesignated park name. 2 classes will submit a nomination, and we'll announce those at the event, and then the park board will review and select a winner, and then the class can come and present that name to council for designated park site. Some kind of fun competition. Then we'll have popsicles for all the kids. We would love to have, the Parks Board has invited the Arts Commission to help participate. So if you guys are free on that afternoon of the 28th, we'd love to have you out to help volunteer and manage the chaos of 380 kids.
I'm in.
Activities. Yeah, we help with that. Art stations and games.
And you need anything else from us, like money or anything like that?
No. Pretty easy, low cost event. Super fun. The kids had a great time last year.
Is there gonna be like a pre-meeting, so we know what we're gonna get assigned?
Yep.
Or
Yep, we're gonna have a meeting next Friday, leading up to it. So we'll include you guys in on that. If anyone wants to join, volunteer.
So did they know they were gonna get into the formation of the?
Oh, do they know?
Because it's their local,
Yeah,
the
right.
Oak Harbor
Yeah,
School
that's true.
District is It's a tree.
No, I don't think anyone really thought about that. Last year we did a conifer, kind of a pine tree, so. We have the Gary Oaks Society and the Garden Club that are also participating, and it's their centennial celebrations. A lot of fun things coming up. So mostly just informative for you guys, and an invitation if you'd like to participate. Look for that email coming out for the meeting next Friday.
Okay.
And let's go on to wrapping up the electrical boxes. You want to jump on that one?
Well, I just wrote out some things when I was thinking about making this a priority and based on what Jeff is charging $400 a box. He's charging Erica $800 for the two she's using the grant money. And she's running out of time. So she's done things with Jeff with the funds before. I suggested that the Arts Commission take on a handful of boxes and then we all agree on the art that we choose and say, yeah, that looks good, Carla. We love sunflowers or however we do that, but then we figure out how to reach out to the schools and to local artists and get them to get in on the action. And then whoever, maybe we hire Blue Fox if their price is competitive and we split up the job between the two of them. So we spread the wealth. But based on what Jeff said, if we don't charge, if the Arts Commission just does it for free and we have to pay to wrap them, that will cost $400 a box. If we pay an artist, we're gonna have to pay like $1,000 a box to give an artist $600 to get their work, the permission to use their work. And the whole project is, I guessed up $7,500 would cover it comfortably. I kind of got into the 6,000 range and I thought maybe we should throw another 1,500 at it. But if we're gonna ask, maybe we should ask for 10, just so that we can cover all aspects of the project once and we're not having to go back. But it looks like 7,500 will take care of, that would have been 13 of the 15 boxes.
Does Home Connections, have they had any, I was under the impression that one was done already.
They're at the final part, she met with them yesterday, Jeff and Dawn, and the kids that worked on the art, and now they're just kind of putting it together. The kids got involved and went down to the boxes and decided kind of how they wanted it designed. And I haven't been part of that since I met with Erica and Jeff at the site a month ago. And I do have in writing from Alex permission to move forward with this project, but I don't know if that's something that we need to get seconded.
So there's 2 boxes.
And I have all the locations, I have pictures of all the boxes, and I know which ones we own and which ones we don't.
Because there's 2 boxes that are gonna be done by Home Connections. Erica Jenkins is the POC on that. I did talk to Humphreys a little bit of the boxes. They're all, because they're all different. Some of them are in different stages of repair that have to be done before you can just like, oh yeah, it's just gonna be real simple. So there's gonna, each of them can become unique. So going with what you're saying, this is kind of like, we could get this done, or we could get this on the road. And I've already talked to 2 other art teachers from elementary schools, and they're just giddy over the opportunity of doing something like this. So,
Well, we picked the site for Erica's 2 boxes is the 2 boxes that are at the end of Pioneer by the moon.
because I'm,
And she's not eliminating any of the students. We've decided they're gonna gallery it so that all the students can have their work.
well, I'm thinking that we do a motion that we could, that to finish off the boxes, not to exceed $10,000. Work with schools and potentially
Get it on
private,
the Oak Harbor City website, reach out to, just so people know it's happening.
and not that it wouldn't exceed $10,000, knowing that 13 boxes are probably gonna run us $500 a piece. And then we can start it would be good because the elementary school teachers or the school teachers would be enough for, each school to go do a box, they can start thinking about this. We could get this money approved to start it right away. If we were to make a motion today, any discussion on that?
How does the remind me, the call to artists work if you're not gonna just strictly use the children at school? Is there a time frame? It's been a long time since we've. put
Does
one
it
out.
need to be in the paper? So everybody that's done anything for us as an arts commission, like the fire hydrants, that was just reaching out to friends and volunteers. And like you did the one with,
That was one of the cleanup days down
Yeah.
there that we did
Yeah,
those. But
just
like for the Acorn, we had to put a call to artists out and it went in the paper. And there was a certain timeline there was for the artist to respond back. And how detailed does that call have to be? Because each box isn't the same. So,
and they don't have to create the art, they can just give us permission to use existing art
And
and digitize it.
as long as we've got this going and it's approved, then our teachers were like, okay, it doesn't have to be done by end of May, June, or whatever. This could not drag, but it could be part of a project, longer term project for next fall. Schools could start looking at that.
so there was a total of 13,
Well, there's 15.
15, less 2.
I'd like to be interested to hear what you have to say, Eric, about this. This would come up to council and say, we want to wrap the rest of these not to exceed the price. And we'll put a bid, we'll find out how to bid on it.
I like the idea of using kids, obviously, and I think that simplifies your process a little bit too in terms of trying to solicit for artists at that point. And it's a good community draw. Look at it, they'll drive
Grandparents
around.
will go down.
Exactly, yeah, so anything that involves kids in that aspect of bringing that.
Really, and my brain thinking on it would be the minute Erica and Home Connections turns around, like, ta-da, that ta-da gets unveiled. And when everyone sees what's going on, and then there it is saying, oh, by the way, the rest of these have been approved to be done. They're in the process being done by other schools and private artists. The private artists that have, we could piggyback on that to launch.
It could be done in the next 6 months.
If you delve into that private artist part of it, though, that's where
It's
contracts.
We could- But we could say, hey, not to exceed, because we're gonna make sure that each school gets one.
Maybe it's just something that we direct to the schools, to
Or,
the kids.
or we just say to heck with it and just
All
make them
grades.
all the.
Anybody, yeah, anybody can submit a drawing or something, and then we pick what we want, or I don't know how we're
'Cause
gonna
that-
figure out what we're gonna.
Yeah, to be blunt, that's an easy sell.
Yeah.
Anybody.
And
Exactly, I love the
kids.
gallery style.
The gallery style is exciting because it makes you look at art, read art, and
Yeah.
Erica's thing is based on straight A English students who are like second in art. So there's a lot of original art and English.
And written word,
Mhm.
yeah, see, I think that would be fun too, you don't wanna narrow it down, it has to be just art, it could be, a written, a poem. something.
Yeah.
And that could be, I mean, if we're not afraid to just let it, if we don't have to copy the other cities that have done it with just one particular piece of art, we can include everybody.
Yeah, I think that would be kind of good to include kids.
Just,
So how do we reach out to the teachers in the schools? How do we-
all that, we'll get that word out. I'll
You
take
can do
that
that.
on. Yeah,
You can do that.
You're good with kids.
It's just
I
sending a
know-
letter to the school.
I know a couple of
right?
our teachers that are, they meet
Dying,
together as
yeah.
our teachers, so we just say, hey, guess what we got for you guys? And we give them all the information of where the boxes are, and then say, this box could be assigned to you, you get these two, et cetera, and they're like, And then let the art teachers go to work and know that it's gonna be paid for.
I can make a simple motion. I'll make a simple motion to ask council for $10,000 for this project, not to exceed $10,000, and the artwork will be called were asked from all of the students in the Oak Harbor School District, all ages. Simple. And I mean, we can talk about the jury process differently. It doesn't have to be in motion, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
I second it.
thank you.
All in favor? Okay. Cool. Now, is that something that can get to council for their
Yeah,
next
just
council
look at the
meeting?
schedule, so I can get that on the.
First meeting to May.
Yeah, our
Not today.
Okay, because the end of school is coming.
That's why I said this gives our teachers and everybody at the schools a chance to, this is something that,
But it might be good because maybe some of these students have already turned in work that's good enough or.
Well, we'll have an example for him sometime in the next couple weeks or months. If
Yeah,
Jeff
because
gets a few wrapped, so they can go visit it and understand the concept of inclusivity for everyone.
hey, no, I'm not gonna go on record and say anything about this. They're ready to take summer. They're ready for summer right now. Somebody said 46 days left. So,
So I can put it on the May 2nd agenda. The item, I need to get it on the packet by next Thursday, the 20th. I won't be there for that council meeting. Are you okay with presenting that to council?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll get a few working on. That's good.
What date is it? May 2nd?
May 2nd.
It's exciting.
all right,
Yeah,
Something's gonna
very,
happen.
yeah, very exciting.
Took 5 years for the fire hydrants.
next thing on the agenda is the youth mural camp proposal. Does everyone have that in front of them? It's- I don't know, but it's basically the goal of the project.
Throw it on screen.
Okay,
Oh, you know.
purpose of the proposal was to seek private funding to fill a gap of expired relief funds for the past 2 years. School district got COVID money, so they were holding all sorts of camps. Me being one of them, as a magician, I was teaching magic lessons in the school district paid, and it didn't cost anything to the kids. So there were a lot of people, martial arts, all the soccer camps, et cetera. They did that the first year. Second year, there wasn't as much money, so people had to handle their own registration, find their own locations, do their own thing, but the school still paid, the school district paid the facilitators and gave all, but it was still free to kids. This year, that's out. So everybody's on your own. Try to figure out what you want to do. And they announced everybody, sorry, we don't have any money this year at all to do camps. So this is where this one is coming from. Facilitator for our elementary education professional artist, grades 4, 15 students for a camp for a week. Free to students, the way it's been for the past 2 years. And the camp would be for 5 days, $5 each day with lunch break. The facilitator gets $625. Then we pay for paint, approximately $200, brushes, 28, snacks, 40. The total camp for the mural would be $900
For each mural.
for each mural site, yes.
How many
Total.
sites are?
Yeah, so I don't,
Crescent Harbor Elementary and Broadwood.
so two.
My,
We give
my,
$1,000 a year to Whidbey Island Arts Council for their student programs in the North Island region. And we kind of changed our motto to include helping kids and getting kids into programs that were art related.
Now you have $20,680 that have been appropriated in this budget for art maintenance, and that's line item out with 7,000 to art project management, 1,500 to discretionary, 5,000 donation to the school district, 1,500 to Driftwood Days, 300 for music fest tables, and 5,000 sculpture maintenance. So you have between 7,000 for art management and 1,500 for discretionary. And I already ran this by Blaine just to make sure, but either one of those are appropriate for use of this. So you would not have to go to council for appropriations funds. to be spent.
Let's do it.
That'd make it easy.
Yes, that's great.
You just need to pass a
Wish I
motion
could
that that's
do
how you want to.
Wish I could go to
One thing that I would add on, because I've got a little skin in the game on this, so I'm not too impartial on this. There are a lot of other art type things that are not being covered. I'm doing magic camp. I know that other camps that are, and everybody's handling it separately, and they're trying to figure out where to go for money.
Mhm.
Because there is no money. So as long as this doesn't set a precedent that for every single one of these camps, like myself, I'm like, oh, did you hear? The art
We will.
That's a
Well,
very
and-
good point.
yeah.
Council deals with that all the time. You have
And
every
that-
nonprofit, every-
That's the fear that I have is setting that precedent. I have no problem with the brushes, the paint. The part about I'm paying you to do this, to run a camp for these kids, because it's free to the kids. And if, I know the karate camp is not doing it, they had basket weaving, they had, there were a number of camps. And all of them got canceled this year. So if we had our, and we, yeah, we're allowed to do this right now, and we don't have to go to council for it. But I just don't want to, like, somebody find out, or, the way it goes, and like, oh, what were you guys doing approving that? Because that set a precedent, and then we can go. So I just throw that out there for discussion. I don't know how to deal with that.
Is there a way to get a more top view summary of what was canceled or not funded and what the need is? So we can look at it as a school district partnership altogether instead of just selecting one, because that runs into it runs into a lot of concerns for me as well, without having a specific grant program or plan in place for this stuff.
Well, when Gideon was putting together the budget, we took out $5,000 because we had this overage, and if we're gonna give it to the schools, but we give it to the schools for these programs.
Well, that's what I was saying.
I
Can
mean, we
get
can use
a-
that 5,000 that we've already
cost of the-
appropriated
Yeah.
and just say that's gonna be an annual gift for these programs every summer.
I'll be one, that's what they paid me. Just me. And that,
$5,000?
You want to learn magic?
no, but I wasn't the big ticket
All
item
right,
on these
yeah,
things.
so, but where do we go to get the numbers?
I can get the numbers from the coordinator of this, because the way it was put out to me and to I don't know what all the camps, because the first year we were at Olympic View at the school. They bust the kids in, they were there from 9 to 12, they fed them. They went to all different stations to do things, and then the buses picked them up, they went home, and then the next year said, we can't do that.
So I think it would behoove all of us to see it as a whole picture so we can make a better decision on what funds we're already allowed to use for the school district.
And I can, I would have that information, I can get that information to everybody via email, because I'll email the person that was in charge of the school district. Because like I said, we all got emails, and I don't know who all the other people are, except that I got mine. That said,
And we can
Right.
table this until our next meeting, once we have all the information, correct?
What is the,
because they
what
were,
is the need?
the summer camps didn't start till June.
Did she do a summer camp before? Do you
Uh,
know?
It sounded to me like she did.
I think she's associated with the Northwest School of Art in Cookville.
So, and I don't know because, again, last year, everybody was separate. I had to handle my own registration. I had to find my own location. And the only thing the school did was you had to make sure that the registrants had attended an Oak Harbor school. No outsiders, no family, no freeloaders, just, I want to know what school they attended and give us your exact numbers. And that's how they paid off that. So, and that included soccer, sports camps that they were doing. So there's a lot that went. I don't know how much money they had.
But I would like to keep it art-based, not
If we had a whole.
athletic-based.
And I don't know what other arts moved in there, because what there were performing arts, I don't know, because I changed last year. I just knew about me.
So are you gonna be the one to ask?
I will ask, and we'll table this till May. They wanted advertisements, and I know this because the school said, we're not gonna do anything, but if you get us the information for your registration by April 28th, we'll put it out to where we'll advertise for you. Okay, so we'll table that one.
Are you gonna reach back out to Lynn?
Yes, I can do that. And then the next one was this email that just came to me yesterday from the Regency. So I'm reaching out to the Art Commission if you would be interested in doing a presentation and talk about the different arts and sculptures in Oak Harbor. To the wonderful residents of Regency. Most of the residents have lived here for 50 years. And they're not familiar with the art sculptures and are asking about them and their history. Would you kindly let me know if anyone is interested in doing that? I can schedule a time and date. Thank you in advance for looking at our response. So, Teresa Mendiola, Terry Mendiola, Community Director at Regency.
I think you should. Well, we had a brochure with art walk on it that the chambers used for a long time, and they gave us permission, they gave the city permission to use it. So they have the PDF already. We've got a Venmo video that was done by Arts Commission a handful of years ago with Kit. And we've got a beautiful video that was done on the mural at the college on the history of Whidbey Island. And that artist I've been in contact with because we've used it at Leadership Whidbey courses to show her video and her interview. And she just wants to know when I want to use it and who it's going to be in front of. So you could do 2 videos and the brochure.
Does it have all the history and stuff of all the sculptures and?
It,
Pretty thorough.
I think it does.
Yeah.
I'll email it to you. It's a trifold. So they're all numbered. They have the location. They have a little map with the dots on them.
It's really outdated.
It's something.
But we can talk about the echo chamber up by Verena's 2 towel sculptures.
The stuff that's been added since that was done. And we have the list of.
I'll probably, if I'm gonna take that on, I'll probably involve Tim, because Tim has taken on like a leadership teaching role at a couple of his art schools, and he's got murals all over town, and he might even be able to do a painting demonstration for them so that they can really just, get involved, and I could probably drag a couple of Hank Nelson's sculptures out of my greenhouse and have like hands-on touching stone sculpture and things like that, so they can. That's
I'd be
granted.
happy to help you. If you set a date, just let me know when. I'd be
Okay.
happy to
And
help.
I'll even kick it off because I'll go out there tomorrow and tell her that we want to do it, and then we'll get in touch with you.
Probably
She'll get in
June.
touch with you, and then we can
June
figure out a
feels
time
okay
with
to
them.
me. Or sometime in the next couple months.
I'll tell her we're gonna do it. We'll just work out a time, and here's the person we talked to. And I'll get in touch with her, and I'll let everyone else know.
Okay,
We have to
taking care of the kids and the
Who's-
seniors.
Do we care about who the person is, that again, the vacancy of the applicant or who's?
Oh, it's on the agenda. The gentleman, so like I said, Joanna, we were going to move her from the alternate to position 6, and then after doing some research, we found out she was already, and our list hadn't been updated. She was already appointed to position 4. So, Nick Hamden is the applicant that, Mayor put forth to council for confirmation, and that's up to April 18th.
Does anybody know him?
Okay, well, no action for us, but that's good to know. So that moves us on to the hard part, which is talking about our priorities and then the review of powers and duty revisions. We got about 15 minutes to discuss this. Now, I don't know how we want to start it. Brian, do you want to start it?
Sure. Yeah, so.
Your time, sorry.
Oh.
I don't have legal size paper anymore in the office.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
And while he's getting that, Cynthia and I sat down for 3 hours one week, or 1 week for 3 hours, and looked at this part of here, the rules and and it was hard, very hard project to do. And there's a lot to be looked at, and it's been sent out to all of you. And what I'd like to do is, again, this is like eating an elephant. Let's figure out how to eat it like 1-2 bites at a time.
I have a question for you, Brian. So in developing a plan, has it been your experience that the plan drives the changes in the RCW? Or does the RCW support the development of the plan, or is it happen simultaneously?
Yeah, in my plan, my experience, the plan recommended certain changes for the code, and everything from like staffing rules to ordinances regarding call for public art and public art funding. They already have a lot of those pieces in place. I think it's just kind of tying it all together, making a few updates.
And I'm the geek that watches all the reruns. But I saw the report that was given at the last meeting, and in the Parks and Rec, it does talk about an public art plan to be revisited. So is it you and your team going to drive our participation in all of this?
Yes.
Okay. So as you got the list of our priorities up, we collectively did that other spreadsheet that everybody got and pulled forward the top 4 or 5 and
This one.
yep. And then when JR and I sat down and looked at the RCWs, it kind of drove what fed into the spreadsheet you had us look at. Collectively, I think the vibe of this commission is pretty unanimous and in sync with each other on, what's important. Developing partnerships in the cities, seeing our plan come to fruition, partnering with schools. And so there's not a lot of discord in that conversation. So we're going to be looking to you for direction and the steps that we need to take to roll out these priorities.
Okay, so why don't we all go together over this sheet where you have kind of summed up here. And just a reminder, so this first column, we have your powers and duties kind of spelled out. The main points being to foster arts programming and venues for the city, developing local arts community, encouraging artists, developing new and existing art organizations or coordinating with them and helping art organizations develop cooperation and kind of shared information, things like that. Next one would be develop public art program, identify sources for funding. So really that's what we're talking about, like with a plan in place and programs. Provide vision of Oak Harbor for a vibrant and progressive community, really, I guess, defining what the character of the city is and what the art needs are in the city, where those gaps are. I think when we talk about art inventory, public art, beautification, placemaking, special events, different things like that kind of all fall in there. And then the last one, review the code, make recommendations. So this is really looking at policy creation. So the key issues that you've put in here, develop an arts and culture plan. Right now we don't have the existing plan in place. Identify, foster, and promote stewardship of existing programs. Let's visit why stop here. It's local, what's happening. And I thought these were all great. In fact, I used this as an example with one of the other words to kind of get them off and running. They had a special work session and we just had lunch and hammered out, got through about half of it. Promote the positive economic impacts, arts and cultures have on the community, develop partnerships, different nonprofits. So why don't we start with this, foster arts and cultural programs and venues for the enrichment of the city and its citizens. So I would say key issues are really all right, here's the value that the city has that they have handed to the Arts Commission to help inform and give advice to council on. So what are the problems that are trying to be solved there, right? What's the gaps? What's the services for the community that don't exist? Right now, an arts plan, how we inform, call for artists and all that kind of stuff. Putting that, articulating that in a document that then you guys can turn to whenever you're doing call for artists or making policies on, well, who should we help fund and support? Because it's clearly in your powers and duties to strengthen and support and promote other programs and other agencies. So how do you do that in a fair manner? That should be documented, something that you can turn to, not simply because JR thinks is a good idea, but because that is what the council has adopted as the art. So let's just take that first one, culture, arts and culture plan. Okay, so what priorities, what are your goals in relation to the need for an arts and culture plan that you would like to tackle this year?
Plan.
Okay, so what, okay, so
I mean,
we will,
That's if you were to ask me right now, where's the plan? I don't know where it is. I don't doubt this. We don't have a plan. We have it.
I did, I'll share this. I don't know that I made a copy. I just printed this offline because it was updated. The last time I looked at it was 2020. But in creating the plan, I mean, I know council, or if you like seeing these numbers, this is what the state puts out as far as the economic drivers that arts and culture brings in dollars. So I think as we talk about our plan, recognizing the state's program and kind of support, let the trickle down thing happen with the state's program into our city's program. And then as a committee, we can figure out how we're going to go out and bring our stakeholders to the table to bring the plan to fruition.
okay. So a creation plan, I would suggest that you go through a formal process. There are a lot of firms that help municipalities create art plans, both for public art placemaking as well as the programming side of it. Just went through this process going to Spring, Colorado. It was $50,000 for the plan, and took us about 1.5 years. They came on site several times. They helped us fill out our inventory of what we were missing of public art, loaned and donated art. They had several meetings, about 500 meetings with different stakeholders in the community, anyone and everyone that's associated with arts programming. They talked with the chamber, the downtown development authority, local businesses, city leaders, and community leaders. And then they helped us flush out policies based on best practice. A lot of those are just kind of boilerplates that they're going to take and tweak to the needs and character of the community. So that's about a year process to put that plan together. I would say that could run anywhere from 30 to 50,000. You don't necessarily need to spend that much. It really kind of depends on how much you want to put into it. You certainly have the budget to be able to do it. It takes some time, and I mean hours of your guys' time and several meetings, right?
I mean,
Did they help establish a rotational art program where we bring artists and give them a stipend? Like, you know, $500 for 2 years, and they come install their art, and it's for sale. When it sells, we get to have a portion of the.
Yeah, we developed a rotational art gallery in different buildings of the city. We hadn't implemented the sell it off part at that point yet, but yeah, that's something
that would be in the plan.
Right.
Well, Lake Oswego does it, like, that's what they do, is their draw, is their art programs. And we have local artists that have participated in that program, so I could also, get some local artists to have.
They also helped put together the website, and we had an art page that listed, had a map, a GIS map of all of our art inventory with descriptors of the art piece and the artist. It had links to other art organizations in the community. It had had a list of all the local artists and they could sign up for that as a voluntary thing. And then it had information on the art board and our call for art process when we did commissions, and it had it had a link to the art plan in there. It was great. And linked to programs as
It's
well.
really exciting. I think it'd be a really smart way to spend our money.
Uh,
So it's real. I feel like we'd be growing up a little bit, like
Yeah, I
graduating
have to
or
agree
something.
with you.
But
Question I have, because I was in, on Monday's meeting with the Parks and Rec. They do the same thing. Am I right? I'm looking there. So would it be something that, okay,
We could do together.
we kind of kludge this and do it together?
Parks and Rec master plans are very broad, so because of the broad nature of Parks and Rec. You could, but I think because we have a dedicated arts board and we have dedicated arts funding, I would do it as a standalone.
Okay,
And that will just go into the city's comprehensive plan.
then the next question I would have turn into what the nonprofit you're standing up with the art. And how would that marry into, how could that marry into?
Well, the samples that I've looked at from other neighboring communities typically have, and I'll use the school has the foundation, the senior center has its foundation. So there's usually a partnership with a nonprofit entity just to help process things and money easily and events and plan on that. It doesn't have to be just one, but typically a plan does have a partner in a nonprofit. Collectively, this group wants to see us partner with a lot of the entities that are related to arts and culture. So it would depend on how the plan is developed and what the need is, but.
To give you an example, we did a similar thing in the last city I was in. Our partner though was the chamber, because there wasn't another really nonprofit art program, but so many of the art grants require a 501c3 designation, which is not what the city is.
Yeah.
We tried to apply for it as a municipality and it didn't go. You have to have a 501c3 nonprofit. So yeah, a great program like that would help us to be able to then can leverage the art funds that you guys have.
So, at this point in time, Brian, then is there any motion or any action that we need to take to recommend to council that this plan, or you seek out this company to
higher?
No, right now, we're just gonna focus on,
Yeah,
what your
yeah.
priorities are. We'll get to
Right,
begging out the
Get it
action.
going.
So-
Let's get it
So
going.
let's talk about that. So one would be to put together an RFP, right?
Mhm.
And that would identify the costs and the scope and the stakeholders, partners, right?
Mhm.
That we want to have involved with it. Yeah, I would start there, start with the
Yeah.
RFP, because that'll kind of inform you, okay, well, this is what we want to create. Here's what it's going to cost. Let's take it to council, have a discussion.
Okay.
So who wants to be on that? Committee work list?
I do, I'm so excited. Just sign me up.
I wasn't even, I'm just gonna back out because Beth Ann's gonna hit me right in the side of the head when she raises her hand.
It is 5 o'clock, I don't know.
Okay. So
How
here's
long the
I
meetings
would-
are scheduled for, if you want to extend
No.
it.
what I'd like to do, because I know I was in here, we had our conversation with just the two of us, and we met with you, just, the three of us. What's our thing where we have a cup of coffee, that a couple more of us could be?
So like I said, the Parks and Rec
As a
Commission, they
subcommittee.
elected to do a whole separate special meeting. And we did it over lunch. We spent 2 hours and just hammered through all this on the whiteboard.
So we didn't have, yes, that's what I think what we want. We don't want to have to worry about.
It is noticed and.
Because you guys are a quorum, we'll have to notice it and record it and all that kind of stuff too. But it just feels a little more informal and that's the
Okay.
only thing we're talking about is we're all looking at this on the whiteboard and just scribbling out.
So
Did you see my hand? I just
Yes.
need to know. Okay,
why don't,
She have a question.
It's totally up to you guys whether you want to do that or if you want to keep it as a small committee that are working on this.
I think over lunch is
Yeah.
great. I mean, your guys' schedule's gonna drive the date though. Do you want to give us a couple of options in an email? After you look at your calendars?
Yeah.
Okay.
And sorry, just going, and I guess we can talk about this meeting, but so I would probably want to say one other person at least on this RFP.
Oh, come on.
Oh,
someone
hell,
Was
please.
it,
I'll
was
help
it Mary?
Cynthia.
I don't know what she had her hand
Oh.
up for.
Oh,
Mary, did you want to volunteer for putting together the art plan RFP?
Nope, she
she
doesn't.
did.
You could put Carla down too in case.
In
case I combust or something. There she goes. just
So
like
maybe
the
you want
drummers.
to just put a pin in this for right now and we'll schedule a
Yes.
session.
But as we go down here, because we still got a couple other things here for members' comments. Eric, you got anything?
I do not.
Oh, come on. Come on, man.
Thank you for the opportunity to say I don't have anything.
Oh, man. All right.
You want that?
Yes, please.
Keep it.
Anybody else has any comments?
I have just a quick update for you guys, just on current art projects. Temple Blue, the concrete pad has been poured at the Pocket Park and cured enough for the installation. We're working with Geo Test to finalize the agreement for them to inspect the anchors during installation. Let's see, we talked to Superior Systems a few months ago, and just given how the sculpture looked, we all kind of felt it would be best to install it as it is, and then repair any dents or whatnot when we set it off for repairs in a few years. P&L is the general contractor doing the installation. So on Temple Blue for meditation, we're talking with Superior Systems. Actually, I think maybe might have touched base with them on repairs already. I think we might ask about that, but let you know the timeline as soon as we have it from them. I'll just touch base.
concrete is poured for meditation.
And I hope they can do the work without having to get the piece painted. Let's see. For gate of inspiration and 3 totems, the new location for gate of inspiration needs to be determined. Since we're putting the angel of creativity in some park, so it's probably something we need a discussion on. And then the location was outlined by for the location that was outlined was in the, I guess, the view shed of the condos. So we'll defer to you on it and let you decide. Preferably, we'd like it away from the water or shoreline, the FEMA floodplain. Let me just say some permitting. But yeah, just have a discussion on those. Okay, and then so that goes back to council with your recommendation on June 6th. Actually.
Great. You raised your hand.
It may be gone.
You guys want to quit? You don't want to adjourn?
Oh, yeah, I remember. The 3 totems, we were gonna put those up in the front of Centennial Grove and just let them rust. We're not gonna invest in
Yes.
painting on them because they'll be like that for a very long time.
They'll look great up
They'll
there with all
just-
that activity going on now.
Okay. Still there.
Motion to adjourn? We
Someone
need
do
to-
it. You do it.
I'll second that.
No, you do it.
No, do what?
Make the
I'll make a
motion.
motion. Oh, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
What I'm supposed to do?
Yes. Thank you.
He comes for the entertainment.
Right.